Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a whole stack of sources, articles, research, basically everything we can find,
Yeah.
and boil it down for you. We pull out the best bits, the key insights, all ready to go.
That's the idea.
So, Phuket. When you hear that name, I bet an image pops right into your head, am I right?
Oh, definitely. The classic one.
Yeah, exactly. That perfect white sand beach, maybe? That, turquoise water, maybe a long-tail boat sitting there looking
A
gorgeous.
postcard shot, absolutely.
Like the definition of tropical paradise. And it's pulled millions of people to Thailand's biggest island. For good reason. I mean, it is stunning.
It really is. Can't deny the beauty.
And here's where we start our deep dive of that image. It's true. 100% true. But it's also, well, beautifully, wonderfully incomplete.
That's a great way to put it.
Like if you only see the beaches, it's sort of like hearing just one note from a whole symphony.
Yeah.
It's lovely, but you're missing everything else.
The depth, the complexity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we know you, listening right now, you're here for that full picture, the whole orchestra.
Precisely. And that's what we're aiming for in this deep dive. We want to explore the whole intricate score of Phuket.
Okay.
We're thinking about it through this theme, Phuket as both the pearl and the pulse of the Andaman Sea.
Pearl and Pulse. Okay, I like that.
So the pearl, well, that's the island you already know from those pictures. Yeah. That incredible natural beauty, the coastline, its status as this, precious gem in Southeast Asia.
Right. The stunning surface.
That's the Phuket you probably picture. But then there's the pulse.
Okay, this is the hidden part.
This is the Phuket you might not know. Yeah. And honestly, it's what really makes the island tick. It's the energy, the thrumming beat of its history, which is super rich and pretty surprising in places. It's the life in the towns, the markets, the complex story of its people, its constant evolution, it's restless, it's the heartbeat under the beauty, the stuff that actually shaped the pearl.
Okay, let's definitely unpack this. Peeling back those layers, getting past the perfect picture to that living pulse. That sounds fantastic. That's why we do these deep dives, right? Already hooked.
Yeah, there are some great stories there.
So what's the plan? How are we going to explore this pearl and pulse?
Well, over the next bit, we're going on a journey. And we're starting somewhere you might not expect. Not the beaches, actually.
Oh, where then?
We're starting in the tin mines, the 19th century tin mines.
Tin mines, okay, that's definitely not the postcard image.
Exactly. But understanding that industrial past, it's actually crucial. It's how Phuket forged its really unique cultural identity.
Got it. So history first. Then what?
Then we switch gears. We'll get practical. A guide on navigating the island. Like from the moment you land at the airport right through to figuring out the transport system, which can be, well, a bit tricky.
Right, I've heard that can be confusing. Now, I remember the original sources we look at mention other things too, like where to stay, food, experiences.
Yeah, they did touch on a broader range, and those are all fascinating parts of Phuket, no doubt.
Yeah.
But for this particular deep dive, we're really zeroing in on the stuff in the material we have right here. That foundational history, how it shaped the island, and then the practicals of getting around.
Okay, focused. So history and transport.
Exactly. Think of it as your shortcut to being properly informed about Phuket, getting insights that go way beyond the usual tourist guides, so you can appreciate the depth before you even get there.
Perfect. Let's do it. Part 1, the soul of the island, a journey through time. So to really get Phuket today, the place that welcomes millions, we need to go back, way back.
I mean, long before tourism was even a thing.
Before the first backpackers showed up looking for a cheap beach hut.
Centuries before that even. We have to understand its role long before it was a holiday spot.
Okay, set the scene for us. Ancient Phuket.
Well, long before tourism, Phuket was a really important spot on the ancient maritime Silk Road. Picture these big trading ships.
Same in between, India and China.
Exactly. India, Arabia, China, carrying spices, silks, all sorts of valuable stuff. Phuket had these amazing sheltered bays, deep water. It was a perfect, almost essential stopover point.
Safe harbor. Makes sense.
So it wasn't just a pretty island, it was this buzzing crossroads for centuries. Different languages, cultures, goods, all mixing right there. A proper melting pot way before we talked about globalization.
Wow. Okay, so it was already significant. Then what happened? You mentioned something changed everything.
Right. Then came the big catalyst, something that completely altered its path, the discovery of tin. Huge amounts of tin.
Tin, like the metal, was it just a small find or?
Oh no, not small at all. We're talking vast, incredibly rich deposits hidden under the ground. They knew about it as early as the 16th century, actually.
That early.
Yeah, but it really exploded later. It triggered this massive tin rush, which hit its absolute peak in the 19th century.
Okay, a tin rush. You said this was linked to something bigger.
Absolutely. It wasn't just local. It was directly fueled by the Industrial Revolution happening over in Europe and America. They needed tin like crazy.
For what specifically?
Think about it. Canning food, essential for feeding cities, armies, tin plating to stop rust on everything, solder for electronics, bronze for machinery.
Ah, okay, so it was a key industrial ingredient.
Totally. And Phuket had loads of this ore, siderite, in really easy to get at alluvial deposits. So suddenly this island became this vital resource for that whole global engine of progress.
Wow, that's incredible. So this tiny island is suddenly fueling factories halfway across the world.
Pretty much. And that connection, that global demand hitting this small island, that's what started to fundamentally change Phuket's society, its people, its whole identity.
Oh, so what was the immediate impact?
Well, that boom needed workers, lots of them. And that triggered this enormous wave of migration, tens of thousands of laborers, mostly Hokkien Chinese from southern China.
Tens of thousands coming to Phuket.
Yeah, arriving often on really dangerous sea journeys, specifically to work in the mines. It was huge. By the early 20th century, get this, more than half the population of Phuket was ethnically Chinese.
Wow, over half. That's a massive demographic shift.
It completely transformed the island. But it wasn't just about numbers. It was this clash and then this fusion of cultures. You had the established local Malay communities, mostly fishing and farming.
Right.
And suddenly, thousands of Chinese arrive, very focused on mining, on commerce. It wasn't just smooth integration, it was complex. They had to figure out how to live together, share resources,
Yeah, I can imagine that wasn't simple. So these Chinese migrants, how did they establish themselves? What did they bring, apart from their labor?
Oh, they brought their whole world with them. They set up these things called Kongsis clan houses. They weren't just social clubs. They were like economic anchors, support networks for newcomers. Super important.
Okay, like community centers and support systems rolled into one?
Exactly. And they brought their culture, ancestral worship, big festivals like the Vegetarian Festival you still see today, their own schools, and crucially, their food. Amazing, diverse cuisine.
Ah, the food connection.
Absolutely. All of that laid the groundwork for the unique identity Phuket has now. It wasn't planned. It just sort of emerged from this mix, a really unique cultural tapestry.
Fascinating. But this tin boom, it couldn't last forever, right?
No. Like many single industry economies, it was vulnerable. By the 1970s, global tin prices started to drop sharply. The easy-to-reach deposits on Phuket were running out, and other places found cheaper ways to get tin.
So the writing was on the wall. I bet that caused some panic for an island built on tin.
Oh, total crisis mode. Generations had relied on tin. Suddenly, there was massive unemployment, huge uncertainty. People tried finding new ways, but the economics just weren't there anymore.
And then it got worse.
Yeah, the real knockout punch came in 1985. The global tin market just completely collapsed. By 1992, the very last mine in Phuket shut down. Done.
Wow. End of an era.
Must have been
Devastating.
deep economic scars. It forced a total rethink. What do we do now?
And it's right there, in that crisis, that moment of what now? That's the pivot point, isn't it? The catalyst for Phuket's big reinvention.
Exactly. They were forced to find something new. And they turned to the most obvious thing, something that had been there all along, but never really exploited.
It's natural beauty.
It's incredible natural beauty. It's an amazing story of adaptation, really.
Were there early signs of tourism before the tin crash?
There were, actually. More organic. Back in the 1960s, you started seeing the first backpackers, maybe some hippies. Adventurers, really, drawn by the amazing beaches, which were totally undeveloped then, and how cheap it was.
The pioneers, finding paradise before everyone else.
Kind of, yeah. But it was the government seeing that potential, even that small trickle, that really changed things.
So the government stepped in. They saw an opportunity.
They did. They strategically tagged Phuket as a priority area for tourism development. They knew it had the goods, geographically.
Smart move.
And then came two absolutely crucial infrastructure projects, game changers. First, the Saracen Bridge in 1967. That connected the island to the mainland by road. Big deal. No more relying just on ferries.
Okay, easier access.
But the really critical one, Phuket International Airport opening in 1976.
Direct international flights.
Exactly. That wasn't just an upgrade. It was like opening the floodgates. Suddenly people could fly directly in from all over the world. That set the stage for the massive tourism boom in the 80s and 90s. That's what made Phuket the global name it is today.
So the airport was the key that unlocked it all.
You could definitely say that. And if you look at the bigger picture, Phuket's story is just this powerful example of resilience, adaptability born out of crisis.
Yeah.
Facing the collapse of their main industry, they didn't just fold. They found a new path using what they had, that beauty, but maybe hadn't fully valued economically before. It's pretty inspiring, like a phoenix rising from the, mine shafts.
That's a great image. And that transformation from mines to resorts, it didn't just erase the past. You can still see it, right? Especially in old Phuket town.
Oh, absolutely. The most visible legacy of that whole tin era is literally built into the streets, old Phuket town's architecture. It's called Sino-Portuguese. And it's stunning. You walk around and you just see it everywhere.
Sino-Portuguese. What does that look like? What are the key features?
It's this amazing mix. You definitely see the European colonial influence, like those elegant arched colonnades along the sidewalks giving shade.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of those.
And the bright colors, those pastel facades, lime green, yellow, pink, blue. Lots of ornate stucco work, too. Very European styles from that time.
Okay, so that's the Portuguese or European side. What about the Sino part, the Chinese influence?
That's woven in, too. You'll see traditional Chinese elements like intricate wooden carvings or lattice work, especially around windows and doors. And a lot of these buildings have open-air inner courtyards, which is a very typical Chinese design feature.
So it's a real fusion, not just one style plopped next to another.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about looks either. These buildings were clever. They were designed for the tropical heat.
How so? Built-in air conditioning?
Sorta. Natural air conditioning. They have really thick walls, usually brick or stone, which keeps the heat out. Super high ceilings inside.
Lets the hot air rise.
Right. And often these little windows, transom windows, above the doors, they let hot air escape and create cross ventilation. Plus, those inner courtyards help with airflow. It's actually really smart design for the climate. Just walking around, you feel that history, that blend of cultures, that cleverness.
Wow. Ingenious.
And that mix in the buildings.
Right.
It's more than just architecture. It's like the physical proof of a whole new culture being born right there.
A new culture.
Yeah. Remember all those Chinese immigrants who came for the tin? Well, there was intermarriage with the local Malay population, and that created this unique group known as a Peranakan, or often called Baba Nyonya.
Baba Nyonya. I've heard that term. So Baba are the men, Nyonya the women.
That's right. And they formed this distinct identity. It's sometimes called Straits Chinese. You find similar communities in places like Penang in Malaysia or Singapore. But Phuket's version has its own unique flavor.
So it wasn't just Chinese people living in Phuket. It was something new emerging.
Totally new. They developed their own customs, their own dialect, a mix of Hokkien Chinese and Malay, and, maybe most famously, their own incredible food.
Peranakan cuisine, yes.
Exactly. Known for being really complex, vibrant flavors, blending Chinese techniques with local spices, this whole Peranakan culture became the living soul of old Phuket town. It's fascinating how this organic fusion happened, driven by the tin rush, creating something totally new and lasting.
And that legacy, it's still very much alive today, right? Walking through old Phuket town feels like stepping back in time, but it's also buzzing.
It really is. It's not just a museum piece. Those main streets, the Long Road, Dibuk Road, and that really photogenic little lane, Soromoni, they're lined with these beautiful old buildings, many really well restored.
And some of the big old mansions are still in use.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool. They haven't just been preserved, they've been repurposed. So you can actually go inside, experience the history, like the Phra Pitakjin Pracha Mansion. Huge, grand place.
What's that now?
It's the Blue Elephant Restaurant, world-famous Thai restaurant. Imagine eating dinner in a 19th century tin baron's house.
Wow, that's amazing. Any others?
Oh, yeah. Banchan Pracha is another gorgeous mansion, and that operates as a living museum. You can walk through and see how a wealthy family lived 100 years ago, furniture and everything.
Give you a real sense of that era.
Definitely. And then there's a former Chinese school on Krabi Road. That's now the Taiwan Museum. It tells the whole story of the Chinese migration to Phuket. Really well done.
So history preserved and shared.
And if you want to really immerse yourself, the On Hotel, built way back in 1927. It's been beautifully restored. You can actually stay there, sleep right inside that history.
That sounds incredible. So putting it all together, what this means for you, the visitor today,
Yeah.
is that Old Phuket Town isn't some fake tourist trap.
Not at all.
The culture, the buildings, they're real. They're the direct result of that whole tin mining history. No tin, no mass migration from China, no migration, no unique Peranakan culture, no amazing food fusion, no huge wealth from tin, no grand Sino-Portuguese mansions lining the streets.
Exactly. The pulse of cultural tourism you feel there today, it beats with that 19th century industrial heart. It's a direct line. Industry created identity.
That's such a powerful way to think about it.
Okay.
It makes wandering those streets so much richer, knowing the story behind the beauty.
Completely changes the experience. But
Yeah.
before you can wander those streets, before you find the pearl and feel the pulse, you got to
Yeah.
get there. And then you got to figure out how to get around.
Ah, yes, the practicalities. Which brings us neatly to part 2, your Phuket compass navigating the island.
Making sure your journey is smooth sailing or smooth driving, I guess.
Right, because Phuket is amazing, but let's be honest, it's big.
Mm-hmm.
And the transport options can seem, well, a bit chaotic at first glance. Getting a handle on how to arrive and move around efficiently, affordably, that's key to a good trip.
Absolutely foundational. It avoids stress, saves money, lets you focus on enjoying the place.
So let's start at the beginning. Arrival. Phuket International Airport, HKT.
Okay, first thing. It's located up in the north of the island. It's about, say, 32 kilometers or so from Phuket town itself, a fair drive.
And it's a big airport, right? Not just a small island strip.
Oh, yeah, it's huge. It's the main gateway for all of southern Thailand. And it's actually the second busiest airport in the whole country, after Bangkok. That tells you something about Phuket's global pull. It's a major international hub.
Second busiest.
Yeah.
Wow. So accessibility must be pretty good then.
Incredible, actually. Considering it's an island, there are over 50 airlines flying in. You've got all the major regional players, Thai Asia, Singapore Airlines, Cathay Pacific, China Eastern. Easy connections all over Asia.
What about further afield?
Yeah.
India, Australia, Europe.
Yep. Indigo serves the Indian market really well. Jetstar flies direct from places like Sydney, Melbourne, Perth in Australia. Middle East, you've got Emirates, Qatar Airways, bringing people through their hubs. And from Europe, Turkish Airlines, Finnair, Aeroflot. Loads of options. Basically, it's one of the most accessible resort spots globally. Getting to Phuket is usually pretty straightforward.
Okay, that's reassuring. Landing's easy. But then the challenge begins, getting from the airport to your hotel. What are the choices?
Right. Once you've got your bags, you've got a few main ways to get to where you're staying. There's the official limousine service, basically a private car, fixed price, usually the most expensive but convenient.
Okay, the premium option.
Then you've got shared minibuses, much cheaper, maybe 100 to 200 bahts per person, good value, but you might have to wait while they fill up and then stop at several hotels along the way.
The budget-friendly, potentially slower option.
Exactly. Then there are metered taxis. You find those just outside the terminal. And this is important, there's always a 100 baht airport surcharge added on top of the meter fare.
Good to know. So the meter price isn't the final price.
Correct. And finally, if you're staying somewhere along the west coast, Patong, Karan, Kata, those main beaches, the Phuket Smart Bus is another really good, affordable option that starts right from the airport.
Okay, several choices. So this brings up that key question for you. The traveler landing after a long flight may be tired. How do you choose wisely? Avoid stress, avoid getting ripped off right at the start.
Yeah, knowing this stuff before you land is half the battle. Basically, if budget's your main concern and you're heading to a West Coast beach, that Smart Bus is probably your best bet. Simple, cheap.
Right.
If you just want comfort and speed and don't mind paying more, the official limo service is easy, zero hassle.
Okay.
For a balance, the shared minibus is decent as long as you're not in a massive hurry.
Yeah.
And just remembering that 100 baht surcharge for metered taxis manages your expectations. Maybe pre-booking something gives peace of mind too.
That makes sense. Preparation is key. Because once you're settled, getting around Phuket, that requires its own strategy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not always straightforward.
No, it's definitely a bit fragmented. You've got these traditional ways of getting around, often based on negotiation, bumping up against modern apps. It's a real mix. And your choices definitely impact your budget and your experience.
Let's start with the most famous ones, the tuk-tuks. They're everywhere, right? But they're different from Bangkok tuks.
Very different. Forget the little three-wheeled buzzing things from Bangkok. In Phuket, a tuk-tuk is usually a small four-wheeled mini truck. often painted bright red. They're basically converted pickup trucks, open sides, couple of benches in the back.
Okay, so bigger, chunkier. What are they best for?
Honestly, short distances, like getting from one end of a beach down to the other, they can be fun, breezy, a
Okay.
bit noisy.
But the pricing, I feel like there's a but coming.
There is definitely a but, and it's a big one. Fares are not metered, ever. You absolutely have to agree on the price before you get in. That's rule number one.
Negotiate first. Got it. Are they expensive?
They are notoriously expensive in Phuket. There are actually sort of officially sanctioned maximum fares, but even those can seem really high. Like a short hop, maybe less than 3 kilometers, from Keta Beach to Karon Beach, the maximum fare is 200 baht.
200 baht for 3 kilometers.
Yeah. Or go from Peron up to Patong, maybe 7 or 8 kilometers. That could easily be 400 baht, maybe more if you're not careful negotiating.
Ouch. Okay, so crucial advice. Know the potential cost,
Mhm.
negotiate firmly, or maybe just walk if it feels too steep.
Absolutely. Be prepared. What about regular taxis then? Metered ones, are they a better bet?
They exist, yes, but they're harder to find just cruising around, unlike in Bangkok. You'll mostly find them waiting outside the airport or near big hotels, major tourist
So
spots.
they do use the meter.
Officially, yes. There's a sit structure. 50 baht flag fall for the first 2 kilometers, then 12 baht per kilometers for the next 13 kilometers, then 10 baht per kilometer after that. That sounds reasonable enough. Is there a catch here, too?
Sometimes. Even if the taxi has a meter, some drivers might try to quote you a flat higher price anyway. They might say the meter's broken, or it's too far, or traffic is bad.
Ah, the classic excuses.
Exactly. So again, you need to be clear up front, politely insist on the meter before you start the journey. Might take a bit of persistence sometimes.
Okay, good to know. Now, what about the modern solution? Ride-sharing apps. They've changed things everywhere.
They really have changed the game in Phuket too. Big time. First thing though, Uber doesn't operate in Thailand, so don't bother looking for that one.
Right, learn that the hard way. Grab is the big one, right?
Grab is definitely the dominant player. It's widely used, pretty reliable for booking cars, motorbike taxis, even food delivery. You'll see Grab drivers everywhere.
But is there another secret tip coming?
You guessed it. Here's the insider info. There are competitors. Bolt and InDrive are also available on the island. And here's the kicker. They are consistently cheaper than Grab. Like 25% to 50% cheaper for the exact same trip.
25 to 50% cheaper. Seriously.
Seriously. It's a huge difference. Same route, same kind of car often, just way less expensive if you use Bolt or InDrive.
Okay, so why isn't everyone just using them then? If they're that much cheaper, what's the downside?
The trade-off is availability. Grab just has way more drivers signed up, so especially during peak times or if you're somewhere a bit further out, you'll probably get a Grab car much faster.
Ah, convenience versus cost.
Exactly. Finding a Bolt or an InDrive might take a bit more patience. You might have to wait longer, or sometimes maybe you can't find one right away. But if you're not in a tearing hurry, the savings are massive.
That's fascinating. Just knowing those other apps exist could save you a lot of money over a whole trip.
A significant amount. It's just market dynamics, right? And being aware as a consumer really pays off. If you only use Grab or fall back on those expensive tuk-tuks because you don't know about Bolt or InDrive, you'll definitely end up overpaying.
Smart advice. Download all 3 apps, check the prices on each before you book anything.
That's the pro move. Takes an extra minute, saves you potentially hundreds of baht.
Brilliant. Okay, but what if you're really watching the pennies? Or you just want that local experience? What about Phuket's actual public buses?
Ah, yes, the buses. There are basically 2 distinct systems you need to know about, both vital for budget travelers or anyone wanting a more local feel.
Okay, lay them out for us.
First, you've got the Songthews. These are often called the blue bus, though they can sometimes be other colors.
Is this the pickup truck thing again?
Yes, exactly. The converted pickup trucks, usually blue, with the 2 benches in the back. Open air, no AC, often crowded, bit bumpy, but super authentic.
And cheap.
The cheapest way to get between Phuket town and the main beaches, like 30 baht, maybe 40 baht now, to get from town out to Patong, Khon, or Kata, incredible value.
30 baht.
Okay.
But there must be catch with the routing. Right, I remember hearing something about that.
There is. It's a hub and spoke system. Everything starts and ends at the central market on Ranong Road in Phuket town.
Hub and spoke. Meaning?
Meaning they don't run along the coast connecting the beaches directly. So say you're in Karan and want to go to Patong, which is just the next beach up.
You can't just hop on a blue bus going north.
Nope. You'd have to take a Songtha all the way into Phuket town, find the right bus going back out to Patong at the market, and then ride all the way back out. Turns a 10-minute drive into potentially an hour or more.
Ah, okay. That's a crucial limitation. Good for getting to the beaches from town, but not between the beaches easily.
Exactly. And they mostly run during the day, maybe 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Not a late night option.
Got it. So what's the other bus system? You said there were two.
The second one is the Phuket Smart Bus. This is much more modern. Proper air-conditioned buses, a lifesaver in the heat.
Sounds good already. What's its purpose?
It basically fills the gap left by the Songthaws. It runs one single long route right along the west coast, starts at the airport up north,
Right.
and goes all the way down the coast, stopping at all the major beaches, Surin, Kamala, Patong, Karan, Kata, right down to Rawai Beach in the far south.
Ah, so it does connect the beaches directly.
Yes, that's its huge advantage. Perfect for beach hopping along the west coast without going via Phuket down.
And the cost. Is it expensive?
It's a flat fare. Currently 100 baht per journey, no matter how far you go. So if you're going a long way, like from the airport down to Kata, it's amazing value. Even for shorter hops between beaches, it's still cheaper than a tuk-tuk or often even Grab, especially good for solo travelers.
100 baht flat fare. That's great. How do you pay?
You usually buy a reloadable card called a rabbit card, similar to transit cards elsewhere. You can get them at the airport or certain stops and top them up.
Okay. Smart bus for coastal routes? Songkhos for getting to from Phuket town cheaply? That makes sense.
Exactly. You just need that strategic awareness, which option fits your route, your budget, your timing. Knowing the difference between the blue bus and the smart bus is key.
It really paints a picture of needing to be an informed traveler in Phuket. Whether it's the pricey tuk-tuk, the competing apps, or figuring out the bus routes, a little bit of knowledge goes a very long way.
Definitely saves you time, money, and hassle.
So that brings us towards the end of this deep dive into Phuket. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From those ancient sea trade routes
The very beginning.
through the gritty, transformative era of tin mining, watching that unique Peranakan culture blossom in old Phuket town.
A direct result of that industry.
And finally, getting practical with navigating the airport and the sometimes confusing transport options on the island today.
Yeah, from history to logistics.
And what really stands out, I think, is how interconnected it all is. How that history, that pulse, directly shaped the Pearl we see now. It's not just a pretty place. It's a place with deep, fascinating, sometimes tough layers.
Absolutely. That pearl and pulse idea really holds up, doesn't it? The beauty of the pearl is undeniable. But it's so deeply tied to its history, its evolution, its resilience. That's the pulse. You can't really understand one without the other.
It makes you realize that beneath almost any beautiful surface, there's usually a complex story humming away. Changes how you see things.
It really does. It adds so much depth.
So as we wrap up, maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to mull over. Something to take away from this journey through Phuket's story.
Yeah, maybe think about this. Phuket's story is one of constant reinvention, isn't it? From tin mining wealth and the culture it created to becoming this global tourism hotspot, from relying on traditional songtos to having these sophisticated ride-sharing apps battling it out.
Constant change.
So how does that continuous adaptation mirror what's happening elsewhere in the world? Places pivoting their economies, trying to preserve their culture, while also modernizing and meeting global demands.
That's a big question.
It is. What does it actually mean for a place like Phuket to keep its unique pulse, its soul, its identity, while constantly polishing and perhaps even changing its pearl to attract visitors and adapt to a changing world?
How do you stay authentic while also evolving?
Exactly. It's that tension between preservation and progress, identity and adaptation. It's something to think about not just for Phuket, but maybe for any place you visit that has its own deep, often unseen history beneath the surface. It goes way beyond the postcard, doesn't it?
It really does. A lot to think about there. Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive.